Welcome to Crypto Kid Podcast. So today I have a special guest Manuel. Oh, my accent came out. I'm from Texas, by the way, and he's here to talk to us about the DeFi network, finance, management, and thank you, Manuel. So that, by the way, that's my dad's name too, so that's pretty cool. So why don't you tell my audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into the blockchain technology?
Sure. Thanks, Sunny, for inviting me to the podcast. So, as you mentioned, my name is Manuel. I'm based in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where I am originally from. And I get to know Bitcoin, which was the only thing available at the time back in 2012. So pretty early on, in a way. Um, it was kind of funny because when I get to know Bitcoin was kind of by chance. I was traveling actually to Lollapalooza in Chile, and our dearest government imposed capital controls, and everything around my account was freeze, and the only way to basically use my money was through Bitcoin. And that was obviously a very insightful moment, and let's say a gap in my career, because at that time I decided to devote the rest of my career to basically working around this. So yeah, that was it. What I mean, at the very beginning, what I was start doing with my co-founders was building, let's say, rails to allowing people to get into crypto, because at the time most of the commerce was done either with shady platforms like Empty Gods or BTC and through Facebook groups. And there was a lot of people getting scammed. So what we did was basically build a peer-to-peer marketplace in which people could create their own profiles with ratings, have an escrow, and allow them to trade in the most secure way possible, uh, while maintaining, anonymity and privacy, which is one of the corner, values of this segment, of this industry.
Nice, nice. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it gets pretty scary when the banks start freezing your assets. You start to go into panic mode. So it's a good thing that Bitcoin was an alternative for you
Yeah.
and that you knew about it. So what is the long-term practical use for DeFi and the digital realms of managing finance while traveling long term?
Sorry, can you come again? The connection kind of cut a little bit there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like we were talking about like management finances and what is a practical use in the DeFi digital norms traveling long term?
So what is the practical use of this technology, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the fact that, so I mentioned that I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina, in Latin America. Here in the region, we have kind of used the technology for a very pragmatic use. Okay. So
Okay.
let's say it's like first principles usage of the technology. While you see many places, maybe like the US or Asia, where there is a lot of trading or doing, yeah, more of casino use in a
Uh-huh.
way. Here in LatAm, we use it to, let's say, fight against capital controls, fight against counterfeiting, uh, have a better way to save your money for the future or against any corrupt regime, or even, in the case of El Salvador, to reduce the cost of doing a remittance. Um, so I think, that more pragmatic approach, it's really interesting because there's a lot of new use cases that are, uh, you know, being created day over day. Obviously, you have some teams that are really into how we take, DeFi and make really complex financial products in order to generate, some return. I think the magic of what we are doing is kind of taking out the complexity of it, and building stuff that can be used by millions of people without needing to be experts. Obviously there is a lot of negotiations in that sense. When in our case, Belo is a centralized provider, so we are much more into how we provide liquidity or initial access to some assets or some protocols. But we don't expose users to being, or having self-custodianship of their assets, because I think it's maybe further in their learning curve, because if you just expose someone to being, or then they need to hold their keys from day one, they will suffer. And I mean, suffering it's good. It makes you grow, but you need to take care of people in a way, in order to generate a compounding effect into the future.
Right. And yeah, you brought up El Salvador, which is great points. And but my thing is, like, in Argentina, like, do a lot of people know about Bitcoin in the DeFi network? I mean, I heard that El Salvador, and this is my research online. I had never physically been there, but and I saw a documentary, and it's just like a lot of people are just using cash instead of Bitcoin. And the thing about it is that it takes a long time for the transaction to go through if you go through the Bitcoin app. And a lot of people are opposed because they feel like it's a scam, like what's been going on, like with the pyramid schemes and all that. And people just don't want to lose their money too. Just like, well,
Yeah.
like you were saying, even with the banks, so like there's like no really alternative for them. Like, okay, the banks will take my money, but then if I go and download this cryptocurrency app, that could possibly be shut down too, because who knows what the government's going to do with the regulations and all that thing, da da da. So how can we fix that and make the people actually really see that this is the future and trust
Hmm.
in your company, for example?
Yeah, I mean, there is obviously some fundamental problems that this technology has, which some are more difficult to solve than others. The fact that El Salvador took Bitcoin as the asset, obviously it makes a lot of sense because it's fully decentralized. It's the one that it's not gonna be manipulated by any party. The problem is it's too much volatile, and in a market which has real, let's say, financial problems, being exposed to big swings of the price of the asset, it's a liability. So it's a liability for the economy of the family by itself. So that's one big problem that definitely it's there to be solved. Some projects started to, and I think it's a really great idea, and I think it's kind of the killer app for this is how we can create kind of a stable coin on top of Bitcoin, which some projects start doing through, a model of puts and options, but it's not fully perfect, and you still rely on another technology. But I think if we could, in a really, idealistic way, can have a stablecoin on top of Lightning Network, which can, be used by anyone without permission, that would be terrific. So non-stable assets, and the other one is around, as you mentioned, the fear of using a third-party software which is centralized or which is, basically managed by a government. And the good part about that is that people can access actually to have self-custodianship of these assets. The problem is that, as you said, they are moving from cash in their hands to needing to basically manage a seed phrase to secure their funds. That's a quite, let's say, traumatic experience, because it's a really different universe that you are managing, So I think in that sense, solutions like ours, actually our third market right now it's El Salvador. people use us to deposit mainly Bitcoin through Lightning Network and exchange that to Tether, a stable asset, and they then exchange Tether to cash or whatever. I don't exactly know. But I think we, Belo can help, as this bridge between both worlds, and I think in general, if one key element to take into account here is, or problem to solve, is around the actual problems of people, not just around the technology per se. And this, I say this all the time. We need to walk the street, when you need to talk with the users, to people, which are the problems, because I think there is a fascination in general in the crypto space towards building the best technology in this technology which is trying to find a problem, and that's kind of in many ways a waste of time.
Right. And your company is involved with, like, you were talking about cross-border transactions. Do you want to explain that a little bit? Like, how can global digital domains effectively handle cross-border payments and manage finances?
Yeah. So basically, when we started Belo, we created actually to solve my own problem, which was, hey, how can I live in crypto every day? And obviously, that was in 2021. We understood that the vast majority of potential users were not crypto native. So by doing research and talking with the users, we find out that a really active group of users in the platforms were what we call freelancers, which are freelancers, remote workers, contractors, basically anyone living in LatAm working for other countries. In this case, most of them the US. Okay, so you have the story, of a developer based out of here in Buenos Aires, and who is, working for a software company in the US. And we start, talking with the user, and we find out that he was having a hard time actually getting his money and trying to spend that money locally. So what we did was take the product that we already had in the market and start adding some functionalities, mainly on the cross-border payment side, meaning that how we can ease the life of this developer to receive dollars or euros or any other currency and instantly receive that money into their balance at Belo. Okay, how? Everything through crypto, through stablecoins, which is right now the most widely used technology in crypto, at least in LatAm by far. And in this way, kind of solve that problem that these freelancers had. And it was a hit because no one was doing it, at least in the way that we were planning to do it. So not just solving let's say the international flow of funds, but actually how you can provide a good saving product on top of crypto by investing the money into real world assets. So using either DeFi protocols or some sort of tokenized T-bills, and then have connections with the payment infrastructure in each country. So right now we are able to basically connect to the payment infrastructure in Argentina and Brazil. And we even allow Belo users from throughout Latin America to go to Brazil and pay as Brazilians, because we have connect the Brazilian payment infrastructure is called Pix. We allow any Belo user to go to Brazil and pay with Pix, which is basically paying as local. So to let's say to a US person, it would mean that you can access to Zelle or Venmo or Cash App without being user of those platforms, which is quite a novel experience for the user.
Wow. Okay. I like it. So what are some things that you guys are going to be dropping here soon that you're able to talk about on the cast? And how many people are using your products already?
Yeah, so right now we have more than 1 million registered users into the platform, mainly throughout Latin America. Argentina, obviously, it's by far the most dense country in terms of users. But as I mentioned, Brazil is the second one, El Salvador is the third one, and then we have users in Colombia, Mexico, Chile, Peru, Venezuela. So we try to, leverage the crypto technology and make it stupid simple in order to give people a really simple way to manage their finance. And there is a lot of interesting and funny stories also. Obviously, I think this is kind of biased, but when you see the age distribution of the platform, obviously you see like this a big curve between 18 to 30, which is kind of the 90% of people. But then you see a spike above 70 years old. So there's a lot of mostly elderly women which are putting their retirement money into Bitcoin. Now, my hunch there is that their nephews are saying, "Hey, instead of being in pesos, just put some money into Bitcoin and start saving in that way."
Okay, okay. Yeah, that is good to start saving in either way. I love
Yeah,
saving. It's any cryptocurrencies, honestly, I'd save it. I'm just like I'm a holder. So like
yeah,
the market really doesn't affect me is so like when you got your day traders and your newbies and like newbies is like someone that's just getting in the industry and they just start seeing the everything go down. I'm just like, that's normal, man. I've been in it like since 2017 and heard about it in like 2014. So it's like this is just normal to me. And they're like, what? What? I'm losing everything. I was like, well, dude, you gotta manage your money a little bit better. And thanks to you, Manuel, I could point them out to you. It's just like just taking risk and managing those risks that you're putting in. You don't want to put in more than what you're willing to afford to lose. And just taking little bits of like education, like educate yourself every step of the way instead of just like going all in because that's literally how people lose their ass. And there's
yeah.
divorces that happen, their
Mm.
their accounts get hacked, and that brings me to my next question is like how secure is your company's like finance secure? And because there's always someone trying to get into to steal other people's money. Like it's happened to me before, it's happened to my friends, and we're just kind of sick of it. And we want to make sure that we're investing in a company that's gonna take care of us and help us out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have mixed feelings here because my ethos said that if you're getting into crypto, you need to basically hold your peace. Okay. Um, so because we know, I mean, we went through a lot of bankruptcies or thefts, etc. And at the end of the day, with crypto, you can actually be your own bank. But I think as humans, we keep on relying a lot on third parties because, um, I mean, we like just giving away our responsibility in a way. Um, After saying that, and we understand that there is a lot of people that maybe don't have the skills or the incentives to do their own custody. So that's why we built a really robust system in which obviously each one of the assets is pretty good, custody with top-notch security and following the industry standards. So in that sense, I mean, there is really little money, let's say, in hot wallets that it should be. And I think in many ways, sorry, you need to provide little information to the potential hackers also. That's why we try to be really private about how things are managed internally, because social engineer, out there, and hackers have the best resources in the industry to kind of figure out how to do it. So I mean, we can ensure that we try to do our best to be the most secure company worldwide. Obviously, when you are targeted by a really professional group of people, as an investor of us said, you need just to turn on a candle. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as I said before, ideally people should be uh, doing the custody of their assets. It's what I think, in a way, there is kind of a responsibility from people in the industry to teach people to actually do that, because it's not super hard. Obviously, there's a lot of nuances to it, but I think it's a good knowledge to manage.
Yeah, man. That is pretty cool. Is there any transaction fees that you guys have going on? Is there like cross-border, and how are you guys handling like with inflation and things like that?
Yeah, so they just issued the last month inflation. It was 8% a month. So just think about that for a minute. It's like the double the inflation of, I don't know what's the inflation in the US right now, but it could be around, maybe 7 or 6. Um, so so yeah, I mean, some people use it to definitely hedge against inflation, and save in a better way. I mean, at the end of the day, Argentina is a really volatile, similar to Bitcoin. It's a really volatile market. So maybe things start going really well, and suddenly things should hit the fan. Um, so having internalized the habit of holding your assets, or being more anti-fragile to the economy overall, I think it's a really good um, practice. I would say that the appetite, for example, for assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum depends much more. Obviously, you always have kind of a layer of users which are always buying Bitcoin, like myself, but depends a lot in terms of the market conditions. And then the more pragmatic use case, around freelancers or people trying to do cross-border payments, it's more stable over time. So going back to your question again, around fees, we try to provide the most competitive fees in the market. Although we think that the best product, it's not necessarily the cheapest one. I think we try to give a lot of service and actually because of this reliability, that everything will be working in the future, which in a world of uncertainty, it's something really valuable. So I think our users maybe don't choose us because of, hey, these guys are charging small fees, but because they trust that the service and the solutions that we provide are top notch.
Great deal. So, do you guys have like tokenize? Are you guys in the like have a token that's out on the market, or
So what do you mean? Sorry.
a token like a cryptocurrency that you guys made?
No, we don't get into that. Mainly because, I mean, we thought about a lot. And I think, tokens are like a trap. It's like the honeypots. They're really sweet, and they can give you a lot of, revenue, and distribute value through token holders.
Mhm.
The problem is that it's a potential liability, and we see it time over time. So my stance here is, if you don't have an actual utility of that token, I mean, it will be used for X, and it's fundamental to the let's say the functionality of the platform by itself. It's pure marketing, which is fine, but I think the lawyer's bill will be higher than the revenues that you will be taking from that token.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that because it is a liability. So anybody that thinks about not anybody could just make one. It seems like they can, but it's just like there's a lot of restrictions that go along with it. And if you don't actually follow through with your promises, like you get in a lot of trouble. So just be
Yeah,
careful whoever's listening and just excited about the market and things like that.
yeah.
So man, is there anything that you felt like we didn't cover that you want to talk about real quick before we come to a close or
Yeah, no, one or two things there. It's for all those out there that are looking to, get to know what is happening here in Latin America and Argentina specifically. Um, there's a few events happening here. I mean, the community here is super active. We will be having ETH Argentina during August. And then in November, we have La VidConf. La VidConf, it's one of the oldest events in Bitcoin worldwide. So definitely, I mean, makes a lot of sense to come by and see what is being built here. There is a lot of developers and people in general in the community building really cool stuff. So be my guest and come by. If you come by, just drop me a DM at Twitter. You can find me at Beaudroit, which is my handler. I'm happy to have a chat and a coffee where.
okay, okay. I'm gonna try to go out to ETH Toronto, but it's exciting to see that Argentina is getting involved and they have a pretty big community. And yeah, man, I have really high hopes for you and your endeavors. And yeah, I'll try to make it out there to Argentina myself. I'm gonna drop some links so people get a hold of you in DMs. And yeah, man, appreciate you coming
Well,
out on the show.
yeah.
And dude, stay hungry and keep making dents in the universe. And good luck to you, bro.
Thanks, Sunny. Bye, everyone. Thanks for your time.